Hello, Helena. It's Emily McVeigh, Executive Director of the United Way of the Lewis and Clark area. We're here this week for a United Way Partner Spotlight with Amy from Meals on Wheels and Rocky Mountain Development Council, and Joe and Vicki, they're volunteers. And tell us what you're celebrating this month.
Yeah, April is National Volunteer Appreciation Month. It's Global Volunteer Month, and we're at the end of Volunteer Appreciation Week. So it's just a time for us at Rocky to recognize all the folks that we have volunteering for our many programs. Today we're here with two of our Meals on Wheels volunteers. Our volunteers give so much to our programs, their time, their gas, the use of their personal vehicles, but mostly the heart that they give to the program and the programs and the people that we serve. So it's just a good time for us to really applaud all of their efforts. These programs couldn't run without volunteers.
And it's the senior nutrition program. I said Meals on Wheels, which is part of that.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a little more to it than Meals on Wheels.
Yes, but the Meals on Wheels program is what we're going to mostly talk about today.
All
and
right.
I think last year when we were here talking about this very thing, I think we had 50 volunteers then, and we've grown now to 70.
Nice.
And it's just such a great group of people. And this winter hasn't especially been easy. It's been a challenging winter. This is Montana, but I just feel like the ice was especially treacherous this year, as well as the many bugs that were around. So when you volunteer for Meals on Wheels, you don't just get to come out in the sunshine and the pleasant days. So some of the volunteers were calling Wednesdays like Windy Wednesday and Treacherous Weather Thursday. So we thought we were, like yesterday and today weren't especially nice either, but just part of it.
If you don't go out in the snow in Montana, you may never leave your house.
You may never leave, right?
Especially this year.
Yep.
It's the winter that will never end. So why did you guys decide to be volunteers with Meals on Wheels?
Well, I'd worked for 50 years doing other things and retired 20 years ago the first time, and then worked for another 20 years and decided, well, we'd just sit around and do something. We'd always looked at Meals on Wheels and finally had the time to do it. And we worked on Native American reservations where food was really important to people, and meals are part of that. And so we thought, well, we can drive, we can move around, we're still mobile, and we enjoy getting out. And I needed to get out of the house a little more because retirement wasn't quite what I was expecting. And so by being able to interface with the staff and the clients and stuff like that, it really adds to your sense of community service and that sort of stuff. And so Meals on Wheels had always been kind of a target for us. And so,
yeah, for me it's pretty much the same. I was looking for a way to fill up those blank hours when you felt like you should be doing something worthwhile rather than just kind of sitting there. And I was especially interested in Meals on Wheels because my parents had Meals on Wheels years ago. And I knew how important it was to them and how much benefit they got from it. And also it benefited me because it gave me the reassurance that they were at least getting one really good, nutritious meal a day. So it was very helpful in that respect. So I've always been kind of interested in Meals on Wheels, and now I'm really glad we're doing it.
Yeah.
in addition, it takes some of the burden off the caregivers because my parents were in Great Falls, and so every time something happened, it was a 100-mile drive and stuff, and so to be able to have somebody show up every day and help them out and as a support group was really important. So we felt, well, we can do that.
Yeah.
You know.
We like to say Meals on Wheels is more than a meal. That's something that you hear often. And that means, yes, they're getting that nutritious meal, that 1/3 of their calories, but they're also getting the wellness check. So if our drivers don't see the person they're delivering to, they'll follow up with a phone call. And if they don't get in touch with them that way, then our staff continues to follow up. And if we don't know that they're okay, we will do a well check. So, and people depend on us to do that, and we take it seriously.
So what do you enjoy the most about being a volunteer with Meals on Wheels?
I think for me, it's getting to know different people, and the people on our route are just super friendly, and we've developed some friendships actually where they want to know about our kids, and if we go someplace they want to know if we had a good time or what did we do, and we ask about their lives, and it's very interesting to learn about people that we would normally not probably ever meet. And so I think that's one of the biggest things, in addition to providing the meal. But we don't really provide the meal, we just deliver it. A lot of the work actually goes on before we even pick up the meal. But I think for me it's been getting to know these people.
I think the variety of people that you see when you work in a profession for 50 years or something like that, you kind of get narrow focused. You start seeing these other individuals that have backgrounds. I mean, there's professionals, there's people that are unprofessional, there's people that are, you know, really depend upon it for their health and welfare. And there's people that just are happy to see you. They're standing at the door waiting for us to come 10:30, 11 o'clock. Where's lunch, you know? And, so,
And where's Joe and Vicki?
yeah, you know, and you develop a relationship with them, and they'll call you by name, and which was real surprising. The first time we went out with Amy, we met several older people, and we have their names on a list, and we went back the second week, and they knew our names. They remembered us, you know, and stuff, and so which was really interesting. And there's guys on the route that are basketball fans, so we talked about basketball tournaments, and it's not difficult, but it's somewhat hard to kind of stay on schedule sometimes because they really like to talk.
That's what I was thinking. Your days could get kind of long. Just
You know, by the time you get it delivered, and you say, "Well, we still have 35 to go." You know, and so,
you're delivering dinner by the end of it.
right? But that's just interacting with tremendous variety of people is probably the most enjoyable part.
So if there is a typical day, what's a typical day?
Well, it starts about, we arrive at Rocky at about 10, and we go inside, and there's carts set up for all of the routes, and on each cart is an insulated bag that has all of the hot meals, and they're all counted out for us. And then there's a separate basket that's got the side dishes in it, and that could be a salad or fruit or whatever. And then there's a cooler that's got the milk in it, and we just wheel that out to our car, and Joe lays down the seats. We have it set up pretty good. He lays down the seats, and we have it sitting in there, and there are 3 spots, and I sit next to it, and as we're driving down the road, then I take the plastic sacks and I put a hot meal in, and then I put the side in, and then I put the milk in, and when we get there, it's all ready to hand to that person.
Sometimes
So-
we do Thursdays and Fridays,
Route 7.
Route 7, and on those days, people can get 2 meals. They'll get a frozen meal for the weekend and a fresh meal for the week. And so it takes us about 2 hours to do our route. We travel about 25 miles total, and it really goes fast, you know. We'll get up on Thursday morning, we'll say, "It's Thursday again." Yeah. So, so like Vicki says, we've got a route. Amy has put the routes together. We have kind of the northeast corner of the city, and we have the Eagles Lodge, and we want to give a plug for that. We have a helpers there that we deliver like 16 total meals to her, and she goes through the facility itself and delivers it inside. So
A little sub route.
Yes.
sub route, you know, and so and I'm sure she gets paid the same as we do, volunteer, you know, just find
that's right.
volunteers.
All the
and-
big bucks.
But she's a great help to us.
Yeah.
and so-
Yeah, quite a few of our volunteers do their routes as a team, like Joe and Vicki do, and a number of volunteers do it solo. So there's definitely benefits to having, I always say, a sidekick, because you can do, one person can be bagging while the other's driving, and it is kind of fun to have a little more, somebody to chat with as you're going along. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. So I'm sure you have lots of special stories. Can you share a story with us about one of your favorite people or a situation?
Oh, well, we're fairly new. We've just been doing it since January. But it's amazing how fast, I guess, that we've gotten to know these people. And we have this one lady who's just so nice, and just at first, the first day we went with Amy, she met us at the door, and Amy introduced us. And then the next time maybe she opened the door and kind of stepped out. And now she's outside almost to the end of her sidewalk waiting for us, And she always asks, how are you? How are your kids? She calls our kids by name. How are the grandkids? Did you have fun on your, we went on our anniversary trip. Did you have fun on your anniversary trip? And how many years have you been married? She wants to know all about us, And she's very sweet. We really like her.
And that's new, because previously it was a knock and maybe just a quick exchange. So that just kind of shows what those relationships mean to somebody. It opens up people's worlds and just makes people feel like they have support.
We have one blind lady that we deliver to, and she's kind of a kick because she's always got a joke for you.
Oh, she's so many good jokes.
She's got these jokes for not this week, but the week before. It was her birthday, and so she told me, she says, my birthday's tomorrow, and she says, I'm going to be 70 tomorrow. And she says, you know what that means? She says, somebody your age would understand this. I survived the 60s twice. So that's funny.
Yeah.
But another funny story is when Amy took us the first time, and we went to the Eagles, and we went through the Eagles. And I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's like
It's a maze.
four
Yeah.
buildings in
Yep.
a maze, and so we found our way. Well, the next time, we were on our own, and we got lost.
Several times.
And we got lost. So pretty soon, one of the residents locked on to us, and we had our seeing eye dog as we went from place to
Yes,
place.
yeah.
Which
They
they
were very
were more
helpful.
than willing to
help
help
you.
us, But they could tell these people didn't know where they were going. So we had a cart full of food, and no idea where we were. So.
Yeah,
Great.
that's a good one.
So tell us about who can be a recipient of Meals on Wheels.
Sure. So if you're over 60 and homebound due to illness or incapacitating disability or otherwise isolated, you can get Meals on Wheels. There's a lot of gray areas, so I always tell people, if you wonder if you're eligible, please call Rocky, and we'll help you decide. If there's always gray areas. So, but that's basically the gist of it. Yeah.
The main thing is over 60.
Over 60 and homebound, and there's just a lot of reasons somebody might need a meal. It isn't black and white.
We
So
hear the same thing from Head Start and the other Rocky programs. They're like, let us decide, just apply.
yeah, 'cause- and some people don't think that they are
Right.
when they are, or
Yeah.
vice versa. So
Rocky will try to help.
Yeah, we'll try to
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, one of the
navigate that.
things that Amy told us yesterday that I didn't know, if it's over 60, but if you're a caregiver to somebody over 60, they can also.
Yeah, like
participate.
spouses. Yeah, there's a lot of little extra, things that you might be eligible. So
Okay.
give a call if you think that you might be. So
So if somebody's interested in getting meals or volunteering, how can they get a hold of you?
just call Rocky at 447-1680, and we'll help you either with the meals or volunteering. We currently are full, which is a great thing. All of our routes are manned. We have a nice number of substitutes as well, but you just never know. Summer's coming, and this is a really active group of volunteers, so sometimes people are traveling for a month or a month and a half, so I just have more need for substitutes in the summer, so we're always looking for more. And I think last year we talked about the ceiling program that we were starting, and that is up and running too, so that's always an option for people to volunteer.
And Rocky has other volunteer opportunities outside of Meals on
Yes.
Wheels, so they can always call for that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we've got a few on our Volunteer Helena site, so
Yeah. Yes, you do. Yeah.
there's always things people can do.
One of the good things about the Meals on Wheels with Amy is that there's no pressure for us to have to do it all the time because they do have a lot of volunteer
Substitutes.
substitutes
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so last week we went to Washington to watch our grandkids participate in gymnastics. And no problem. You just call them up. And
Yep. We're very flexible,
Oh, good.
it's great.
but we don't miss a day.
All
I
the
have
meals
a
get
quick little
delivered.
story I forgot to
Okay.
tell. Remember the 35 below day we had in December?
A couple of them,
And
yeah.
it wasn't even with wind chill. It was 35 degrees below, and we were very concerned about the volunteers being safe and just being, getting through that day. And so we had kind of staff lined up to help the volunteers, run so nobody was in harm's way. And every volunteer that came that day was like, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm dressed for the weather. Nobody wanted help or they just were like, I'm fine, off I go. So it just kind of shows you this hardy group that we have, and they just get the job done. They just don't miss a day. It's impressive.
On the other side, we should say thank you to the staff, though, too, because the food is always ready, and it's always in our bags. And there's a lot of preparation that goes into those
The
meals.
kitchen does a great job.
They do a great
fabulous
job. And
Yes.
putting out those, and they're good meals.
Mhm,
So
they really are.
they do deserve a real big thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Any last bits of information or anything to share before we sign off?
I think we've said it all.
Go Meals on Wheels. Right?
Go Meals on Wheels.
And thank
More
you to
than meal.
the volunteers that make it happen.
Yes.
Well, that's
yes.
one thing, is I feel really good about volunteering for this because I know that maybe someday that's going to be me. And I will really appreciate
Yes,
that. And I'm glad
exactly.
that I can help ensure that program
Yep.
continue on.
Well said.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Helena. Thanks for joining us again this week. We'll see you again next week.